light is on. Can you hear? Okay, I have this on close. Speak closely. Hi, thank you all for coming out to the meet and greet for the Board of Ed candidates for the election next Tuesday. I am Dee Lashley, PTO president, or Boosters president, sorry. So I'm going to let each of the candidates introduce themselves.
Hello. Hello. My name is Casey Wilson. I've been a resident of Neptune City for about 5 years now. Although I didn't go to Woodrow Wilson School myself, my mother and uncles and my siblings have all gone. And my grandmother raised her family here, so it's a great town. I am a student at Rutgers University. I study psychology, and I feel that this is just a great experience. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Madeline Tolman. I'm a current junior at the College of New Jersey, majoring in secondary education and history. I have lived in Neptune City all of my life. My family has actually been here for over 60 years. I myself went to Woodrow Wilson Elementary School, and I know that for me personally, I can attribute a great deal of my success to the foundation in education that I received here at this school, from these teachers and from this administration and from the school itself. It's really helped me to not only pursue a further education, but also a potential career in the educational field. So, thank you.
Maybe we should move the microphone down?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, yeah. A little bit easier than
Hello everyone, how are we doing tonight? My name is Dave Whelan, and for some of you that may not know me, I am a park ranger with the county park system. I've been in for 10 years. I'm a union representative for the CWA. I've lived in the town for 10 years now, and I own 2 homes. Growing up in Neptune Township originally, in high school, I went to Allied Health, and you always knew that coming to Neptune City was the ideal way to raise your child. So my wife and I decided to come here for that reason. So that brought me here, and I want to change the whole way this town runs. I want to have a community feel. I feel like that's going away, and I want to bring that back. So thank you very much.
Hello, I'm Anthony Cicino. I've been a resident of Neptune City since 1984. I had 3 children, 2 of which went through the Wilson School. I've been a board member for 12 years, and I want to continue on trying to push the board and the school forward to better the town and serve the residents of Neptune City.
Hi, my name is Michelle Lewis. I lived in Neptune City for 25 years and have been married 25 years to my husband, Vernon. We have 3 children, all of which have attended here, 2 graduated. I work full-time right now, and I've been on the board for 3.5 years, and I'd like to continue. I think we've started a lot of good things in the past several years since when we first cut those programs, and I'd like to see it through to fruition and continue to be part of the success of this school. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Dave Calhoun. I've been a resident of Neptune City since 1993. I grew up in Neptune Township over in Shark River Hills. I have a 7th grader in Woodrow Wilson School currently. Been on the board about 3.5 years. And I'm looking to be re-elected to continue the hard work of making the school better for all the kids in the community.
Hi, I'm Caitlin Salduti. We have a daughter who's looking forward to coming to Woodrow Wilson. I'm currently on the board and I think I'm an asset to the board as well as all of us. I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me, and I'm glad to see you all here.
So we have a few questions that we're going to ask each of the candidates. They're each going to have an opportunity to answer. I have 5 questions, and then after we complete those questions, we'll open it up to the audience. So if you have any questions, get those formulated and we'll ask them later. The first question is, what do you see as the opportunities and challenges in this district?
Objectively speaking, since I've never gone to the school, over the years I've seen many challenges. But I wouldn't like to focus on that necessarily because challenges just mean you have to work harder, and I think I'm willing to do that. But with all these challenges, there are also tons of opportunities. It's hard to pinpoint anything specific.
So something I see as both an opportunity and a little bit of a challenge is the fact that we have had, just throughout walking around the town and speaking to the people of the community, there have been a number of students who have left this school and gone to other schools. So I think something that you can view as both an opportunity and a challenge is the fact that those students have left. And I think something that would be a great opportunity is how can we focus on getting those students back in this school and making this a really great school to be in, like I know it was when I was here.
To continue on what Madeline said, I think the biggest opportunities are going to be putting the school back on the map for what it used to be in the county. Like I said, growing up in Neptune Township, everybody knew that coming to Neptune City was the ideal place to be because you had a K through 8, you grew up with everybody, and then you went on to whatever high school you chose because you had options. As far as challenges, I think the biggest challenge that remains in my eyes is bringing back a lot of the programs that are missing. When I look at like Bradley Beach School, who is a comparison to our school, they have the same enrollment, the same population makeup and all that, but they have almost 3 times as much programs as far as clubs, after school programs. Their sports are fully suited, so that's one of the big things that I want to bring back. I think that develops a community and also keeps kids out of trouble. So.
Opportunities. The opportunities I see is the fact that we've had a Leader in Me grant, and we're bringing in Chromebooks and basically along the lines of Bradley Beach. The other challenges is to get our funding up so that we can compare or be funded as well as the other districts, even when they compare in size to us. That would open up some funds for more programs after school, things of that nature.
The challenges are the funding, and we all know that. We're aware of that. And I think that we've gotten past a hump where we thought we were going to close our doors. And we're feeling a little better about that now, but it's really tight still. So we've done good things like, refinance the bonds and save $680,000 and made contract changes for the teachers and for the school administrator. So we're stabilizing our funding, even though it's still not enough, and we're underfunded by over $1 million, and we all know that. But I think since we're in that better stable position, we can start to look at the opportunities we have now of perhaps working with the borough, thinking of any shared services we have for facilities or maintenance. And if it's not, that's okay, we can explore that. But the good things that are happening, people are not hearing about. We're not publicizing and advertising ourselves enough and the goodness of this school. So it has turned, and maybe everybody doesn't know that. But so we have an opportunity to communicate better with all of you, whether that's going to borough council meetings, having an article in the paper, maybe doing more Facebook blasts, I don't know. People don't come to our meetings. They're not a lot of fun, and people have family things to do at night, but our opportunity is to get more out there with the people and share the good direction we are going, because we're on a good path. So I look forward to sharing that with everybody.
So everybody knows that the funding is always an issue, and we belabor that to death at any board meeting that people have been willing to come to. But one of the challenges and opportunities at the same time is to recognize that, you know, we don't have the same type of student in Neptune City School that we did even 5-10 years ago. 2010, when my son came, it was a lot different mix of kids with a lot of different needs. And today, we have a bigger need for more individualized education plans, more self-contained classes, more specialized learning. So that's a challenge and an opportunity to recognize the kind of student we've got in the school right now and to get the right mix of teachers in the school to meet those challenges. That's just one.
To belabor the point again, and to quote Dr. Deb, it's the best education that no money can buy. So we obviously have a challenge in funding, but I've also spoken to parents who see bullying as a challenge in the school, and although I'm not personally experienced in that, I think we can all do with a little bit of tolerance, whether it's racial or otherwise. An opportunity of the school is that it's a small school community. We're not stuck in the bureaucracy of the larger districts, and we're still autonomous. That's definitely an opportunity.
If you had the choice of enacting one change in the district, regardless of cost, what would it be?
I would adopt or implement a program to encourage kids and parents to ride their bikes or walk to school, and to especially ensure that it's safe to ride or walk to school, which is good for everybody's all-around health in the community, I think. And I would like to see kids rewarded, students rewarded academically, and for leadership with bikes and helmets.
If money were no object, I'd like to see a fully blown STEAM program in schools. STEAM is an acronym for science, technology, education, arts, and mathematics. And you can only go so far with the infrastructure we've got here in the school. And that essentially means that you've got to have the wiring and the support systems in place to have the equipment for the kids to have those programs run effectively for them. So yeah, I'd like to see that expanded. Brand new. We have a partnership with Long Branch where we've been able to get donated smart boards. I'd like to see all that stuff come into the school brand new. If money were no object, we'd have state-of-the-art everything. That's one of the things I'd like to see. Oh, I'm sorry. I should take it back.
I would hire another administrator, not necessarily titled principal, vice principal. I don't know what it would be, a supervisory type of person. I think we've heard loud enough from the community that, you know, they want more face time. They wanted Mr. Campbell on the corner. Well, we don't have the luxury of two people anymore. We don't have the luxury of time. Dr. Deb has so much on her plate, and she's handling it all. But those extra things of standing out on the street, or more support to the classrooms, you know, more supervisory role, I would build that into the infrastructure, because I do think that would make us a stronger foundation.
If I had a choice of enacting one thing, it would be to basically bring our superb, excellent teaching staff up a little bit more than where they are as far as salary. I'd like to make them compatible to some of the other districts in the area. I believe that the money, the budget that we're on, we're always asking them to give more for less. Although their salaries go up, there are other expenses that the state has put in place as far as like health benefits and things of that nature. So if I actually could, and it was no money was, money wasn't an object, I'd like to bring them up to an even keel.
To extend on what Mr. Cicino said, obviously in the real world, money at no cost doesn't exist to taxpayers. But if this were a hypothetical world, I would have to say exactly what he said. Teachers are the most important thing in the schools. And if you look online at multiple sources, out of 647 schools in this state, we are 604 on how we take care of our teachers. Bradley is 490. Deal School is 440. So I would start there.
Yeah, I think if money were no object, the main goal would obviously be to definitely better fund our teachers. But I think something else that is also important is, just kind of adding in some extracurriculars for our kids, and also adding in a little bit more of an emphasis on the maths and the sciences, so that potentially we could maybe get our state test scores up a bit.
There's been a lot of talk amongst the candidates of funding, and there is a lack thereof. So if it were possible, I would hope to be able to enact maybe bringing in a grant writer, because there is free money, quote unquote. So I feel that maybe if we had someone assisting us in having access to those things, it would bring in many more resources that we desperately need, as been mentioned. So if I could, I think that would be a choice of mine.
What do each of you see as the board's role, responsibility?
The word that I would use for the role and responsibility of the board is a liaison. We're kind of the middleman between the community, the people, the voters, the taxpayers, and the administration. So we receive signals from them, and then we receive signals from the community, and we try to come up with a common goal or a solution to make things work right. So that's how I would see the role and responsibility of the board.
That is basically a true statement. The responsibility of the board is to set policy as the public and the state, whoever makes the rules, we're to set the policy and see that the administration carries the policy out, and that is the role of the board.
Right, like Anthony said, I mean, we don't get the luxury of picking our role. Our role is defined for us. So we're policymakers, and we're in charge of the CSA hiring and firing.
I'm not to stand up here and repeat what everybody else is saying, but suffice to say, that is the textbook definition. We set policy, and the CSA and the VA carry it out. We also are tasked with holding them accountable for what policies we set and making sure they're being acted on appropriately. So.
The role of the board is to ensure that the schools run well and within its means. Another thing we do, like Mrs. Lewis said, is we approve new hires and employees in the district. We try to determine who's best qualified and who's not necessarily friends or family.
Yeah, not to hammer in on the exact same points that everyone has been saying, but I would even take it a step further. Yes, the role of the board is to, set the standards and set the expectations, and to make sure that those standards and expectations are what happens. But I would even say that the role of the board is really, almost like a caretaker. People are trusting us with their children and with their children's education, so we want to make sure that we are holding up the standard and that we're definitely doing our part.
If I may be so sensitive, I feel the exact same way as Madeline. I have not been on the board, but I do feel that it is our job to ensure that we are giving these children the best education possible. So again, with all the policies and the liaison point of view, I would also think that with the CSA, it's more of a partnership as well. We would like to have such input as well, because they are the ones who are there day to day. And yeah, Madeline took my word.
What are your views on open data and transparency of information?
Transparency is great. although we would like the public to know as much as they possibly can. The only problem is there are a lot of things that are confidential that aren't, as far as personnel, legal matters, that can't be brought out. When we go into caucus, that's where it stays because it can't be discussed legally. All other things, transparency is great. It keeps everybody on the same page, they know what's going on, and they can tell us whether they like what's going on or don't like what's going on.
This is another one of those questions that's pretty much the same. We feel we're very transparent, but you would have to come to a meeting or watch the videos to hear what's going on.
And they're all out there, by the way.
Yeah, they're all out there, thanks you. So we share everything we can except for personnel and legal issues, and that has to stay behind closed doors.
So yeah, again, one of these things that everyone's going to answer the same, but what the public would have to realize is that not everything is for public consumption. So the things that can be transparent are, the things that can't will not be. Period, the end.
There are laws in place to ensure that the individual's privacy is protected, but also that the public's right to know is protected too. So transparency, and as far as the board goes, you can see our agenda, our minutes, and even something like on a municipal level when there's a blatant disregard for openness and decisions are being made behind closed doors, it leads to, actually leads to corruption.
When I interpret what open data is, I would assume it's like test scores, how the school is doing overall, who has been hired. From what I've learned, there hasn't been what I believe should be transparent open data. I think it's very important that more than what has been given is given, because I don't think the picture has been fully painted of where the school stands and how many changes need to be in effect. So it's just very important that there is a transparency of data, just so we're all clear on how well or how not well we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we're all kind of saying a very similar narrative, but I will say, you know, everything that can be shared with the public, I think, as we all have said, should be shared with the public. I think that as the public and as the community, you guys should be entitled to any and all information that you are allowed to have, because I think the more you know, the wiser you are. And I also think, you know, it's a reflection on us as, you know, potential and board members that are up here of how we're doing and how the school's doing. Because if the public is not satisfied with the way that things are going, then there should obviously be a change.
No, I really have nothing else to say, but except the fact that I feel that data and information, it inspires creativity. So the more information we can get, obviously, you know, the sensitive stuff we're not going to release, but the more information and data we can get, the more room there is for us to come with ideas to change. And we need a lot of change here, so.
The last question that I'm going to ask is, in your view, what has the district done well over the last 5 years? And what has the district done poorly that you would change?
So the one thing that came to mind when I saw the question was that I think we probably could do a better job as a board in communicating to the public the good things that are going on in the district, because all there ever is the negative. The only time anybody ever shows up to a meeting is when there's a problem, as there was a couple of years ago when we had to go out with a special question to get the money put back in for the extracurricular activities. And that's not right. I've told more than one person, either in person or at board meetings, hey, we don't want you just at the meetings when there's a problem. We want you at all the meetings. So that is one of the things I think we could do a lot better. And with that, hopefully more people would show up. More public participation is a good thing. They may not like all the answers we've got all the time, but hey, if they're here and they ask, we can answer them, and then we can either agree or agree to disagree. That's my answer. Oh, what have we done well? Okay, so what I think we've done well is to bring in the right mix of teachers to the school for the kinds of students that we've got now. We have students that require a lot more special ed. We've got a lot more special ed teachers in the school. That's about the best one I can come up with so far. So, which way are we going?
I've seen great things happen here in my time. The Leader in Me grant is wonderful, and also bringing technology into the academic setting is a real positive.
One thing that I've noticed that has been done well is keeping our teachers. The door seems to always be open. We've done a really good job at bringing back these same people. There's a sense of loyalty here, and I think that's an important trait to emphasize.
Yeah, you know, I think, sorry. Yeah, I think something that we've done really well is that we've been able to, even during a bit of a challenging time, we've been able to keep a lot of our long-term teachers. I also think, you know, there are new and exciting things going on, such as the Chromebooks and things of that sort. And I also think that we're hiring, in many ways, a lot of new teachers that bring something different to the school. And, you know, that's a wonderful pairing, having teachers who have been here a while, they're loyal to the school, they know this school, paired with the teachers that are, you know, often fresh out of college, and they've got the youth and the new ideas. So putting the two together just makes really good sense.
What the district has done well, to expand on them, is obviously the teachers that are here. We have teachers that are here for 5, 10, 15 plus years. And not only does that show that, you know, there's trust in the system, but also that there's a lineage of like core values. And like I could say that my son had the teacher that I had, or something like that. So that kind of is an important thing that I've experienced growing up. What have they done wrong? I would have to say the extreme reduction in the arts, music, sports, because we all know that deep down inside, we some of them won't admit it, but those kind of things, they build up a community. One kid will go to a township because their football team's good, or one kid will go to this school because their band is good, or and like kids that aren't good at math, science, English, what have you, they want to expand their horizons as far as music, art, sports. So that's pretty much how I feel. That's my biggest stand on this district.
Okay, first, what's been done poorly? The fact that we had to cut administration, we had to cut programs, we had to, suffer through some hard times. That was not our choice, but it was things that we made responsible decisions to keep as many programs as possible, like reducing the administration staff. The things that we did that I think is positive, in the last 5 years, basically the new contract that we just got with the teachers we settled, which was very nice to see finally after 3 years. Another thing was the Chromebooks, Leader in Me grant. There's many things, and we still have a long way to go, but I believe that we're on the right path.
I think our opportunities lie within our test scores. We're just really getting the school solid. We've got so many new teachers, and we have our change of our students, so we're there. It's solid now, it's stable. And now we have to look at ways to get our test scores, instead of stable, which is still good with the turnover of people we have, to now increase. I think what we've done well is we did reinstitute all of the programs that were cut, all of the teachers that were cut at that time. Not as far back as cutting the administration in half. We have still not been able to do that. But we did reinstitute everything. And at the same time, we made longer term decisions to, refinance the bonds, save the $680,000, give the teachers a 5-year contract so we don't have to be, in the weeds with that in another year or 3 years. Reassess Dr. Deb's contract and save, well over $200,000. So we made financial decisions that might have been uncomfortable for the community, but it stabilized the future of this school. So laying that groundwork will hopefully give us that opportunity now to look at those test scores, to add programs. I love the arts ideas and the extracurriculars. We'd all love to do more for the children. And I think we're in a position to start to be able to move forward with that.
I'd like to open up the questioning to all of you. Does anybody have a question?
State your name and address, please.
John Gunderson, 123 Woodrow Avenue. I have a two-part question. Part one, what is your vision of Woodrow Wilson School in 5 years regarding, in particular, an autonomous independent district, a regional district, or a merged district? Part one. Part two, if you are a member of the Board of Education, what will you do to try to bring that about?
The way I envision the district right now, as it stands in 5 years, I'm scared personally that we're going to get absorbed by Neptune eventually. And my biggest fear getting elected, not necessarily fear, but that should have been listed in my challenge, is that I'm going into a sinking ship, but I know I'm going to fight because I'm a shop steward, and that's just in my heart. What I would like to do to change that is I want to reach out to other districts. I want to talk to Bradley. I want to talk to even other high schools, try and get some sort of, other sending districts, talk to Wall, Manasquan, encourage the people of the town that we're trying to make this a better solution for them. Because I had a neighbor, he's excited, he just got his kids in a deal school. And I don't want to hear that in my town, so.
I think to answer that question, I think what I would like to do personally would be to remain Neptune City, not to necessarily regionalize with anybody else, but to remain our own separate entity. I think the main vision that we want to instill for maybe the next 5, even 10 years would really be to bring a multitude of things. It would be to bring our test scores up, would be the first thing I definitely think. And I think it would also be to bring our enrollment up. We want to be the school that we were, 10, 15 years ago with a high enrollment, and everybody was talking about it. People wanted to send their children here. People moved here because it was this little school in this little town that had a lot to offer people. So I think I personally would want to get back to that.
Too, in 5 years, would like to see Neptune City remain Neptune City. What I am thinking goes hand in hand with Dave and Madeline's comments. What I would do personally is I would just ask questions. Everyone around us, like Avon, Bradley Beach, Neptune, Red Bank, they're in the same situation or a similar situation, and they're all making it work somehow. The one way I personally would try and keep us Neptune City is to just ask, what are they doing that we are not doing? Where are they looking that we're not looking? So that's what I would try to do.
Okay, where I'd like to see us in 5 years is stay Neptune City, K-8, with strong numbers, actually become a premier school, something where our numbers are so much higher from all the teachers, all the programs that we've gotten, like the Leader in Me, and actually get the numbers to come up with the people that we have. As far as consolidation or to reach out to other districts, there was a feasibility study done when we were hurting for money, when we were going to the state. And in the feasibility study, consolidation, we reached out to Wall Township. I'm not sure if we reached out to Manasquan. I'm not sure of all the districts, but we did reach out to other schools. And they basically really told us thanks, but no thanks, because they didn't want to change their numbers or do something to that effect. So my idea is to fight as hard as we can to keep Wilson School K-8 as long as we can. I like the idea that we have two sending schools. We have one sending district, but we also have an agreement with Red Bank Regional, which works out very well. And I think that that's where I'd like to be. I'd like to keep it that way, but a little bit stronger, get our numbers up.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody in this room wants to keep this school the way it is and just improve upon it. And, you know, I don't know if it's like it used to be or, you know, it hasn't been as great as it could be yet, but you know, we all want this little K-8 school. We did the feasibility study. We proved our ground that it would not be beneficial to the taxpayers of this town to merge with Neptune. We would probably end up closing this building because they have enough physical space. Our taxes would go up and we would have no place at the board. We would have no say. So in my mind, that leads to proving our case that we would never regionalize or be absorbed by Neptune. Somebody else could read into the study a different way. It was almost flat, but if you're a resident of Neptune City, it's not flat. So what we want to push towards is keeping what we have, because financially, it's better for all of us. Emotionally, we love the school, we love the K-8 model, we know it works, and it just takes all of us together to make it work, opposed to being so divided. So, you know, obviously we want to stay autonomous. I think the way to get there in 5 years, I think, was the other part of the question. How would we get there? Keep making prudent decisions. Sometimes they're not as popular as we'd like them to be, and other times they are. But making those decisions to put the right people in the right jobs, to save money when maybe it hurts a little bit. You know, those are the kinds of things that aren't always so popular, but they get us to where we're going, and we're going there. So I hope you all join us on the ride.
Thanks. So I think we're all up here because we want to see Wilson School stay autonomous. We wouldn't be here if we felt otherwise. How are we going to get there in 5 years? I echo what Michelle said. We have to keep making prudent financial decisions, and we have to recognize that the money has not been forthcoming from the state for at least the last 8-9 years. I don't know if that's going to change with a new administration. Quite honestly, I don't trust either side in the current election cycle or in future election cycles, because I'm just that kind of a guy. I'm a pessimist by nature. So, and also the school follows the town. It's also going to be based on what kinds of families we have living here in the future too. I mean, not everybody leaves the school because they're unhappy with it. Some people do. Some people see that there's programs in other towns that they'd like to have. Some people just move out. Some people's kids have aged out of the system. So it's a lot of different things that are attributable to where we were even in 2010 when my son first came to the school and where we are today. It's a lot different school, even in that little time. So yeah, how are we going to get there in 5 years? We're going to keep on keeping our nose to the grindstone and making sure that we're making the best financial decisions possible to make sure that we stay autonomous.
I think autonomy is our opportunity, and that includes continuing to make sound fiscal judgments, and like Mr. Calvin said, the demographics of the town are changing, and I mean age, and to be welcoming to people who want to come in and be part of the tax base and put their kids in school. Thank you for the questions.
Any other questions?
Do I need the mic? No. Do you mind if I ask, first I'd commend you all for coming here tonight, to have the courage to do this, and thank you for those of you who are currently serving. I know it's not it's kind of a thankless job. I was wondering if I could ask the question of just one candidate, if that's okay, candidates, it's kind of a yes, no. You know, I know you guys, each and every one of you discussed about how making, as a board member, you're making policies and standards for the school. And one of the big important things is, one of the largest things is, the school board is responsible for more than half of the municipal budget. All the taxes collected in the town come here to the school. And you need it. I mean, but it is half of municipal taxes. And my question is actually for Ms. Tolman. If you were elected to this board and were in that position to be responsible, one of the members responsible for half of the property taxes, not only including the children's education, our teachers and everyone else, to represent the residents in Neptune City, would you attend the board meetings? And while you're at the board meetings, would you pay attention and give your attention to the board meeting at that time? Because it is a very, very important seat that you sit in. That's about my question. Thank you.
The answer to that pretty simply, yes. I mean, you know, I think it's important to go to the council meetings, and I think it's important, as I said before, in a lot of the similar questions, knowledge is power. You know, the more we know, the wiser the decisions we can make. So if we have all of the information in front of us, you know, and if we're eager to get that information and, you know, to see what's out there, we're going to be able to make better decisions based on that.
Jen Coombs, Neptune City, New Jersey. Whatever Mayor Brown just asked, I'm asking that of all of you, because I want the answers from all of you, not just one candidate.
So let's repeat the question.
The question was, would we show
Would you
up?
show up?
Would we show up as
because-
president? Is that essentially what it was?
Your
Be
undivided
present,
attention
yes.
while being responsible for the school and representing residents and half of the municipal taxes that are collected.
Okay, thank you, because my memory's going. Yeah, we go to the meetings on a regular basis. There is an attendance requirement, so we do show up. I think we pay attention. We're asked to, and if we don't, shame on us, because there's a lot of important business that's going on. So I think we all try to give it our focus. They are very regimented as far as the parliamentary, you know, process. So it seems like we're just kind of going through the motions, but we're really not. We've got a lot of paper in front of us that has been emailed to us ahead of time, that we've researched, and we've asked a question if we needed it. So maybe you don't see as much discussion because the minutes and of the previous month are sent to us ahead of time. The agenda is, and so we've already digested it. But yes, I believe I will be present and active.
So my answer is I'm obviously honored to be here. I take my role as a board member very seriously. When I was asked to do it and appointed to the first term and elected to the second term, I take it very seriously. I realize it's a very significant part of this town's budget, as it is with all towns' budgets. So yeah, I'll be here, I'll be present, and I will be making the best financial decisions that I can to make sure that the school stays afloat and that the town, that we are, how do I want to say it? That we are mindful stewards of the township's money.
The answer to that is, but as you know, you on the council know, it takes a lot of preparation, you get the agenda in advance, and I think an important question that goes along with that is, do you do your homework and follow up on what you say you're going to do?
I've been doing it for 12 years. I come here and I come to the meetings, 2 meetings a month, which is a joke. Just so you want, just because you want them to know, they tell it that when we got put into office, or when we were asked, we were told that it was going to be 2 meetings a month. It's much more than 2 meetings a month. That's just scratching the surface. I'm sure the town council is the same thing. It's no longer a very part-time job. It's more like a full-time job. But yes, I do come prepared. I try to read everything and research it, and I'll be there.
You asked about attending council meetings, correct?
No, I'm not.
Oh, board meetings. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm always going to be here. I mean, I've been going to the council meetings for 2 years now. I just started going to the Board of Ed meetings in the summer, but I intend to put 100% into this position. So, yes, I will be here, and I'm pretty reliable. My father was military, so, 15 minutes early is late, so I'm always here.
Since I've been asked to run, I agree with Mr. Calhoun. I'm honored to even be sitting here now. I'm appreciative that you guys gave us all your time. It's a very fragile institution right now, and I want to learn as much as I can. I've attended board meetings once I was asked, so same with Dave since the summer. I've been to every one, even though there's been jobs, school, whatever the case. It's just important. You need to take in everything that you're getting. And so, of course, my undivided attention is here. Any other questions?
I have a question. You guys spoke a lot on the special ed children and the need for IEPs.
Can't hear you.
Can't hear you. Sorry. Okay, you spoke a lot on children with special needs here and the need for IEPs. What about the other end of the spectrum, the children that could benefit from Excelsior to help them reach their full academic potential? Do you have something here? Can something be implemented? And is that something where you actually need extra funding, or can you do it within the school with the teachers that are here already?
Why don't you take the first?
Detailed questions like this, what we would do and, what we would bring up at a board meeting if somebody asked like this is we would ask our CSA to look into that. But that's your goal now. Go figure out and tell us what is the feasibility of putting programs back in place like that. I believe
Like,
there
so
was.
right now, there is no Excelsior
I don't
in the school?
know.
Or just any type of,
I mean, I personally don't think there are.
But we would look to her to be the expert to advise us, and then we could get back to you. I agree with you, though. I think in order to get our test scores up, we need to focus on all levels of kids. And I know you don't like to, most people don't like to say, when I went to school, it was like you were an A, C, and E, and if you were E, you were a kid, smart kid, But approach something like that so we can give the attention to the gifted kids or the advanced kids while we're still nurturing the ones that are okay and giving all the extra support for the ones who need it. So I think that's a great question, and it's something as a board member I would bring to the CSA and ask her to advise of a plan. So we'll follow up with her, and if you come to a board meeting,
I think that's kind
we'll
of a
bring.
downfall for this school that there's one end of the spectrum, but where's the other
Right.
end? A lot of kids will go elsewhere because they are gifted and they don't need IEPs. They want to reach that potential.
Yeah, perhaps. I don't know why everybody goes where I know we all have our own reasons, so I'm not sure. But we'll ask the CSA, and if you come back, we will follow up with you. Okay.
Does anybody else want to answer?
Yeah, basically, that's a Board of Ed question. You come to a meeting and we can handle that. Because now,
Well,
okay. Okay.
They're pets. They're pets.
I actually, obviously I'm not elected and I haven't been in a position, but I just wrote down what you said and I'm going to research it when I get home because I have no idea what you're talking about. Obviously, when I get in, I'm going to learn more.
The first
but,
question for wisdom is I do not know.
Yeah, so I'm going to look it up and I'm going to figure out. If I get elected, I will address that.
Any other questions?
Hello, everyone. My question is, I would like to know from each of you, what do you believe is your number one attribute? What is your number one skill set that you will bring to this board that you have obtained through your lifetime? Your number one attribute.
I need the stats. That's it, exactly. Yeah, you know, I think my main skill that I'm going to be bringing to the table if I'm elected to the Board of Education, as corny as it may sound, is my passion for not only this school, but for this community. I love Neptune City, and I want nothing more than for this town and for this school to succeed. You know, I went here, I loved my experience here. I want all future students to have that same love for this school that I once did. So I think that that is my key factor and my key skill. You know?
My main attribute, I would say, I keep referring to me being a shop steward, obviously, is that I'm not afraid to say no and question things. I feel like the meetings that I've been to this year, there's a lot of just monotonous yeses, and there's never really questioning. They just want to get through the meeting. So I want to get in there and I want to ask questions. And maybe I'll get in there and find out that there are a lot of standard things that you just say yes to. But I want to get in there and I want to learn, and I want to be able to change some things. So my ability to say no and go against the grain is probably my best attribute.
Okay, my main attribute is the wisdom of 12 years on the board, learning with a lot of the people that were on the board in the past. I also have the skill set of being a past president of my union. I also have negotiations that I've had, and I think that's what it stands for itself, my knowledge and my wisdom.
I think, Ed, you probably remember when I first joined the board, I was the one that asked all the questions, and I went to that training weekend, and I went to classes, and I came back and said, but what about this? What about that? What about this? So, yeah, I mean, we were kind of the annoying two new ones, but not being afraid to ask those questions constantly. I haven't seen you at board meetings, but we do ask questions, and there is a lot ahead of time that is questioned as well. So my inquisitiveness, I think, always keeps everybody on their toes because they've got to be prepared. Dr. Dove has to be prepared. Bill has to be prepared to answer because they don't know what's going to come.
So I guess my best attribute is to basically see a problem from all sides and to keep an open mind and try to come up with the best possible solution. I do have in my job, in my real life, 6 direct reports that have looked to me every day to make their right decisions and know that I'm making mine. So I bring that experience to the table. And as I said before, I think that being positive is good in the face of the enrollment issues, the funding issues, the things that you can't change. You guys may not see the questions getting asked all the time, but we do ask them, whether it's in caucus or whether it's out in open board meetings. But I think that, as I say, I think my ability to see the problem from all sides and try to come up with the best possible solution given the circumstances that are available.
The attributes that I bring to the board currently are open-mindedness and diligence, as well as inquisitiveness for truthfulness and improvement.
I believe that what I would bring to the table is drive. I have an extreme drive. I also am adaptable, so looking at different situations, I know how to best fit myself into thinking that way. Because I do have an objective opinion, I feel that that's a very strong suit. Like many of the other members here said, they also have an open mind. So, I don't know, mine just might be a little more open.
More questions?
One more question.
More questions?
Jen Coombs, Neptune City, New Jersey. Everybody wants to ask you about your positives. What's your biggest weakness that you're bringing to the board?
Oh, I have one.
Like I said, I don't want to hear the positives. I want to hear all of you, like the whole shebang.
I'll start. Okay.
And then I'll take it after that.
I have no background in education. I didn't know anything about the running of a school, Board of Education, politics, or parliamentary, or whatever we want to call it, but I had no background in that. And that's a positive because I'm never excluded from certain conversations, because I'm not in one of the teachers' unions or something. But at the same time, it was a learning curve. And I think, I continue to learn and I'll get there. But it was interesting because I come from a corporate world and things are done very, very differently. So when you first look at the budget and you go, that's nothing like a corporate budget, it was a learning thing for me. So my downfall has been my ignorance to the whole system and how it runs.
So probably one of my biggest downfalls is the frustration tends to overwhelm me sometimes when I realize there's just not a lot of stuff that you can do about some certain things. There's really only 5% of the budget that you control every year. You're always going to keep the lights on in the building. Salary and health benefits pretty much go up all the time. There's very little that you can control. And when Michelle and I first got here, we were asking all the questions, and we were like, well, wait a minute, why can't we do something about this? Why can't we do something about that? Well, it's because of this, that, and the other thing. It's like, well, but I don't understand. So I've gotten better at that, but sometimes the frustration overwhelms me, and then somebody talks me down off the ledge, and I'm able to function and do better for the board. So, where am I going?
Since we moved from board as a whole to committees, I'm on the building operations committee, and I don't know what runs this building, so I'm learning and
If you ask my wife what my negative attribute would be, leaving things around the house. But as far as in this line of work, I'm not elected. I haven't been elected for this position before. So going in, I don't know about it enough that, I can really answer some questions like with the Excelsior. But I'm hoping that when I get elected, obviously, that I'll further expand my education on this. But that just makes me more objective from the outside. I don't have a horse in the race. So I want to get in there and I want to change things. I have drive for it. So I'd say my biggest negative aspect is not knowing about the education system well enough. So.
Well, I think this is going to sound like a typical answer that you would give on like an interview when someone asks you, oh, what's your biggest weakness? But I would say one of my biggest weaknesses is the fact that I'm a bit of a perfectionist, meaning that I don't really let things go. I tend to harp on things until it's really what I want to see and what I want the end result to be. So I think that that's a little bit of a weakness when it gets to be a little bit obsessive.
Weakness I have is probably I overthink. I care about everything, and I think a problem that I may or may not come across would be when to possibly let things go, when things are out of my control. So that might be a downfall.
I've been here 12 years, I'm not running away. My biggest weakness, I guess, is impatience with the process. Everything is a process, and I sometimes can't deal with the fact that we only have control of 5% of the budget. We only can do things because we need the funding. It just sometimes it does get very frustrating, and that's my biggest weakness. But I take that and turn it around and try to make a strength out of it by trying to fight that much harder, going to see our senators, Jennifer Beck, whoever, anybody that would listen to us is where we've been, and I think that's where that came from, just not being happy with the way things are.
don't think we have any more questions. Yes, we do. Okay, we have two.
So this isn't really a question, it's just a statement I want to make to each and every one of you up there. So walking in here today, like, kind of brings back memories, because I'm not here as I was in the past. The one thing I want to do is sitting up there, which I know how difficult that is. Believe me when I tell you, I know how difficult that is. Sitting up there not knowing the unknown, and I want to commend each and every one of you for sitting up there, doing that. Just something as I walked in, and I had no intentions of saying anything here, coming in here and seeing that a lot of the same people that probably last time I was in here, that you were in here, is that there's still a sense of caring for the school. And regardless if I agree or disagree with some of the visions and platforms and what your beliefs are, the directions you're going in, the one thing that I think myself, Mayor, Chrissy, we could all say there's been money problems for a very long time. And the challenges that you work through them, and that's going to be your biggest challenge. And if you think it's going to correct, and I couldn't agree with you more, Mr. Calhoun, about it doesn't really matter who gets in there, it's still going to be a problem. But I will tell you, each and every one of you, the only thing that I can give you a recommendation to do, and I think I've spoken with you about this on both sides here, to keep it in-house, okay? And believe me when I tell you, I'm surrounded by 53 districts. Some are thriving because of their financial status, and some are struggling, maybe not as much as you, maybe a little more, who knows, I don't really know that. But the one thing I do know is that they keep it in-house, and they keep it inside these walls instead of spreading it out, because it just filters through the morale of the whole town, your parents and your teachers and your students, that they're not in a good school, when they go to a ball game or they go somewhere. So whoever gets in, and I think, I know 95% of you up there very well, just try to keep that part of a big part of keep it in there and keep it in-house. And first and foremost, I know each and every one of you will think of the kids first, okay? But look at the financial side. That's not going to get any better. So just make it work with what you got. Because you can say you're going to go to this senator, this assemblyman, that assemblyman. Trust me when I tell you, there's no money there. So make it work. Whatever bullshit they tell you, okay, that they're going to get you, they're going to help you right before an election, okay? They're going to do what they got, okay? And they got nothing, okay? So make it work with what we have in here in our small community, whoever gets elected. And I commend you three for coming out as young people and coming out doing it. I commend you guys for sticking with it. Just remember one thing. It's not Republican or Democrat, it's Wilson School.
Randy Reynolds, Neptune City. I find it surprising that you actually have 5% of your budget to work with, because when I sat on the board, we worked at 2.5%. And Anthony, you can remember that, I'm sure.
We still have 2.5%.
Still 2.5%? Okay.
Round it up.
So I guess yes, we have one.
Bob Schaefer, 101 Riverdale Avenue, Neptune City. This is not going to be new information to Dr. McCord, because I've spoken to her on a couple of occasions. Someone up there mentioned that she cannot do it alone, and I totally, 1,000% agree with that. I've spoken to her in the past. You need someone, and it's not going to cost you a lot of money, on a part-time basis to handle discipline, to handle attendance, and leave her to do the job that she needs to do. Am I right? And I've spoken to you a couple of occasions. Her response to me is, the board doesn't have any money.
That's not my response. My response is we have a plan. We're working the plan.
You had a plan for 2 years. It's not working. I'm working on a part-time basis in Union Beach. They didn't have the money, but they needed someone. They found the money. I'm not saying that you have hidden money. I'm just saying she needs help. take that into serious consideration. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, I want to thank all the candidates for coming out and answering our questions, and I want to thank the community for coming out and being informed.